Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:06 this Friday morning in your nation's capital. It's always fun to usher in the weekend together. And in December, it's even that much more fun. Here, Hanukkah is officially kicked off just a couple weekends before Santa shows up. Patrice, you got your groove on.
I am, because it's Friday. How could I not?
It is absolutely Friday. And at 7:35, Adam Guillette will join us from Accuracy and Media. At 7:45, a quick conversation with Melissa Robey, We Back Blue, because tomorrow we're filling a police cruiser full of toys.
Wonderful.
With Toys for Tots. At 8:05, Bill O'Reilly, and at 8:35, Sean Spicer.
All right.
I'm Larry O'Connor. That is the aforementioned Patrice Onwuka. So, Alex Jones.
Okay.
So, Alex Jones is incredibly entertaining.
Yes, he is.
You have to say. And sometimes when you start watching some of the clips from his shows over the years, you see sort of the evolution of Alex Jones. And, well, it's entertaining, I guess is the best way to put it.
Evolution in up, down,
Well, you know what?
around.
Okay. Maybe it's not quite the right word. Listen, we all go about our broadcast duties in our own way.
Okay.
And I don't do what Alex Jones does. I don't think I'm capable of doing what Alex Jones does.
Yeah.
But he absolutely engages his audience.
Yes.
And he's got some really interesting fans out there. Matt Drudge. Remember Matt Drudge?
Yes, Drudge Report.
He was a huge Alex Jones fan.
Is that website still even?
I think it's still there, yeah. I don't know if Matt's still doing it.
Yeah.
And Tucker Carlson is a huge fan of Alex Jones.
Oh, okay.
And last night on his new webcast social media program through X.com, he sat for a lengthy conversation with Alex Jones. Now, there's a couple parts of this that are noteworthy.
Okay.
First of all, I loved the fact when they put this out and they announced the show, they had what we call a timestamp menu to show you what topic is discussed at what time.
Okay.
In the
That's
hour-long
really helpful.
conversation. So that way, if you wanted to, you could skip ahead.
Exactly. Yeah.
And see the various, parts of it that you want to see. So here are the timestamps. 2:46, Alex Jones predictions. 15:07, platforming. 21:59, dividing us on race. 25:37, the border. 28:09, Austin. 32:19, the New World Order.
What?
42:09, Brian Stelter demon video. 50:57, depopulation. 1 hour, 7 minutes, 51 seconds, food. 1 hour, 13 minutes, 51 seconds, whiskey. And at 1 hour, 16 minutes, 22 seconds, the presidential election. But you get it. At the end, we're going to talk
It's
about
a little
the
mixed bag of everything. A little bit of the crazy, a little bit of the nutso, a little bit of the maybe we're reeling you back into planet Earth.
All right, now let's do some high-end political analysis, which, by the way, tells you, on all the cable news shows, they would probably lead with the presidential election. But no. Now
you saved the best for last.
Who among us, though, wouldn't just immediately go to 42 minutes and 9 seconds to talk about the Brian Stelter demon video? I mean, isn't that...
Is he with, Lil Nas X or something doing lap dancing on Satan? Is that what the video is?
No. Well, so for people who don't know about the Brian Stelter demon video, there's a very famous episode of Alex Jones from a couple of years ago where he went off on Brian Stelter, of course, when he was at CNN. His entire reason for being at CNN was to destroy conservative media or any media outside of the CNN sphere of influence and appropriateness and what they approved of. And it's a very famous sort of 3-minute diatribe that Alex Jones goes off on with regard to Brian Stelter. Here's a little taste of it, just so you can.
Yeah, you think I don't see your face, scum? You don't think I don't
see you, Stelter. I see you. You understand me? I know what you think of me and my family. I see you right back. You understand that? You understand that, Stelter? Stelter. You will fall. You will not bring humanity down. God is going to destroy you.
Okay, so that's a little bit of Alex Jones going.
I'm freaked out right now. Did he tape this out in the woods in his bunker, like in camouflage with a gun?
And while he's doing that, there's this giant smiling image of Brian Stelter behind him. All right, so
Okay.
Tucker and Alex Jones started talking about Brian Stelter. Let's start with cut 21 from last night's show.
What's interesting is, and I mean, I don't know if you want me to reveal this, but we had dinner in our barn last night, and there were some drinks. And after dinner, you and my producer called Stelter on the phone. And what was so, and it was on speaker, so I listened to it. What was so interesting was, you've been very clear in a very direct, pretty masculine way, I would say, about how you feel about Brian Stelter. There's not a lot of confusion about your views on Stelter after clips like that, which doubtless he's seen because he Googles himself compulsively. He was very kind of syrupy sweet with you.
And that's why I was sarcastic and told him I want to date him.
You did, yeah. In fact, the exact line that you had was, Brian, I'm not usually gay, but I want you. Yeah. And he seemed a little bit, I'm not saying he's open to it or whatever, but he wasn't shocked by it.
And he's like, give me your phone number. I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And then he hit your producer up, please give me his number right now. Let's
that
talk.
was interesting.
But I was being silly with him. But there was also a line. He goes, oh, Alex Jones. I said, I want you to come on my show. And he said, oh, you still got a show? And I went, no, you're the one that doesn't have a show.
Sorry, I should. It's so,
tell him the other line.
It's so boorish to recount conversations people weren't witnessing.
It was funny though.
But you said, you're off TV now, but you were a real star. I mean, not on CNN, but on my show. so good.
All right, so.
Okay.
So there's that segment, Alex Jones with talking about Brian Stelter. And then there's another part. Now if you remember from cut 22 here, any regular listener to WMAL and specifically the Chris Plant Show, you know that Joe Biden makes, for years now, has walked around naked in front of Secret Service agents, right?
Yes. Chris talks about it all the time.
Cobra. So it may have been a revelation to the viewers of Tucker Carlson's show last night, but of course we've known this forever. Alex Jones made the claim. Here it is.
He is completely out of his mind. He wanders around for the entire 2.5 years. It's getting worse. Naked in the White House. In the middle of the night, doesn't know who he is. They have to give him a bunch of drugs, a bunch of amphetamines in the morning. Then they've got to drug him at night. Sometimes he'll be out for the morning for a while, and then comes back out at night for a ball. That's when there's a real problem.
He is on drugs. I have established that, and I know someone who witnessed it. I'm not guessing at this. I know someone personally who witnessed him taking amphetamines, and this was during the 2020 election.
All right, and that's just a little flavor of it. Go ahead and watch it for yourself, but it's very engaging and very entertaining.
It is entertaining, to say the least.
Two people who enjoy each other's company. And one other thing, Elon Musk, as he started reinstating various accounts across the board, he kept Alex Jones. His account is still suspended, and they talked about that a little bit. And now apparently Elon Musk is considering bringing Alex Jones back onto the X platform. A year after he said he wouldn't reverse that ban.
That will make Brian Stelter happy.
Because, and here's the thing. Yes, exactly.
You decide what happy looks like for him. I mean...
Well, Alex Jones does. Listen, I don't think it's out of line to say that he dabbles in some conspiracy theories and in a way that is, frankly, incredibly hurtful, incredibly destructive, and, as a jury has found, incredibly libelous.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's understandable that Musk has said, maybe we don't need this. Yet at the same time, we've sadly lived through an age very recently here where yesterday's conspiracy theories are today's facts that we're not, maybe allowed to talk about a little bit, where a year ago we weren't allowed to. So I reserve judgment on calling someone out on a conspiracy theory, considering what we have learned over the years. There's Alex Jones for you. Either way, it's
entertaining.
It is. And I don't know how he keeps his voice. Honestly, can you imagine doing that with his voice? And I barely, I was cheering at a swim meet last night, and I can barely get my voice working. It's 7:60. Let's get straight to Jamie with the Neat Perfect Cleaning Traffic Center.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
From the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
WMAL. Making sense of the headlines. Because common sense isn't so common. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Yeah, and speaking of common sense, what has gotten into John Fetterman?
I know. He's actually making sense on a couple of different issues, which is very strange.
He is woke conservative. This is a guy who ran as a Bernie Sanders socialist, who's never actually accomplished anything in his life, literally has lived in his parents' basement the entire time of his public career. He had a devastating stroke right before the primary, the Democrat primary in Pennsylvania. His campaign hid the results of that stroke and the damage that he suffered from the voters. They got him into office. They've been propping him up. A month into his time as a senator, he had to check himself into Walter Reed with major depression. They tried to change the dress code to accommodate him in the U.S. Senate so he could wear his hoodies and shorts. That got reversed within a week. But in the last few weeks, ever since the terror attacks of October 7th, where he has stood by Israel, his major statements have been, Israel must be protected and Hamas needs to be destroyed. He gets in the face of all of the pro-Hamas protesters.
Yes.
He said, if you're going to expel George Santos, what the hell are we doing with Bob Menendez sitting here voting on foreign policy in the United States? He should be gone. And now here's the latest talking about the border crisis. He said nearly 270,000 border encounters this month in the month of September, according to Customs and Border Protection. He said you essentially have Pittsburgh showing up there at our border, and it's got to be, and he's absolutely lambasting the Biden administration over their horrific border. And, well, I'll put it this way. The Babylon Bee put out a perfect headline on this. Man becomes more conservative as he regains brain function. As his brain begins to mend, he is now suddenly seeing the world through a more reasonable lens, I suppose.
Well, there
and
you
it's like,
go.
Where have you been, John Fetterman? Well, my brain was broken before. Now it's fixed.
So it's interesting because I believe there is a report just a couple of days out there that says conservative parents are more likely to raise mentally healthy teens compared to liberal parents who are more likely to raise teens with mental issues. So maybe the thing is, as you gain mental capacity, you become more conservative. Or he could be an outlier, but maybe there is something to this idea that he's coming around to it. Or it could be the fact that he's trying to hold on to Pennsylvania and that there are a lot of conservative.
I don't think so
voters.
Because he's not up for election for like 5 years.
That's true.
So understand this. So this is all because he is engaging with Republicans over discussions about how they can fix the border.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Without granting amnesty. Anytime a Democrat talks about fixing the border, it's like, it's easy. We just give amnesty to everybody. Yeah. So the headline in Politico, Fetterman defends reasonable border talks as fellow Dems fume. The Pennsylvania progressive's comments follow his stark support for Israel's war on Gaza, which has also befuddled some of his typical allies on the left. Understand this. If you're on the political left in America, you're befuddled by a person standing by Israel and demanding our border is protected. That befuddles you if you're on the left.
Wait a minute, Larry. Does this mean that IWF should honor him, John Fetterman, with our Man of Distinction Award next year, or our Courage Award?
No, because I've been to those dinners and there is a dress code.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Julie and I would stop him at the door in his shorts and hoodie.
Yeah, Julie Gunlock will wrestle him to the ground and put him in a headlock. So it is pretty fascinating.
It's interesting.
And he said, I hope Democrats can understand that it isn't xenophobic to be concerned about the border. It's a reasonable conversation, and Democrats should engage. So here's what you need to, because you said, he's just trying to, get votes in Pennsylvania. There are other Democrats who are also engaged in these conversations with Republicans about border protection. And other than John Fetterman, every single one of them has something in common. they're up for re-election in 11 months. Fetterman is not. Fetterman's got 5 years left in his term. So there's something going on with John Fetterman, and trust me, they can't fool me. All right, and I'm not celebrating him. And no, you shouldn't give him an award,
okay,
Patrice.
we won't. I won't put his name on the list. Then
about it.
But it's interesting. It's interesting because
it is interesting, and I mean, frankly, what I find more fascinating is the reaction on the left. Right, that befuddled his typical allies on the left. Fellow Dems fume because he's saying that we need to protect our border and that we should stand by Israel. And that's driving the left crazy, and that I find to be the bigger story here.
Well, listen, this is increasingly happening more often now. The border is a real ticking time bomb.
Oh, yes. Democrats take it very seriously as soon as there's an election coming. It is 7:23.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:36. It's O'Connor and Company coming up in just 10 minutes. Melissa Robey from We Back Blue. We love everything she does for our cops. And tomorrow, she's joining forces with cops to do a lot for our kids. Toys for Tots. We're filling a police cruiser. We'll give you all the details coming up in a moment. 8:05 Bill O'Reilly, 8:35 Sean Spicer, and all morning long, of course, our pal Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry.
Adam Guillette with Accuracy in Media has been doing exactly what needs to get done. What you saw this week on Capitol Hill with the presidents of Harvard, MIT, and UPenn equivocating and rationalizing and making excuses for calls of genocide against the Jewish people on their college campuses and all of the fallout in the last 48 hours, that's been discussed and talked about well before you saw that hearing this week. This is an ongoing process to expose what's happening on our college campuses. And ever since October 7th, Adam Guillette has been leading the charge in shaming these people, the faculties, the universities, the donors, and even the students who are on board with supporting and celebrating Hamas. And he joins us now. Boy, that's quite an intro, Adam. You better live up to it.
My gosh, thank you for having me back. But under such an intro, it's going to be challenged to live up to that. Yeah.
Well, you're doing something pretty cool right now. As all the attention right now is on the president, Ms. McGill, the president of the University of Pennsylvania. People are forgetting about Claudine Gay, the president of Harvard, who said the same thing in this hearing. Then the next day she put out, she didn't even have the courage to do the hostage video like McGill did. She just put out a written statement that maybe she didn't even write. But you have pulled up a truck out in front of her home. And you remember the scene from Game of Thrones, guys? This is, listen.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Well, of course, the shame scene included the character, I forget her name now, stripped naked, walking through the streets as all the people threw things at her and screamed shame at her. And you're not going quite that far, Adam, but you've got your own shame chant going on in front of Ms. Gay's home.
Well, she's a shame upon the university. All three of those presidents have had the mobile billboard parked in front of their home yesterday. It'll likely be back next week. In the case of Miss Gay, it said that she was Hamas's best friend at Harvard, and it had her name in her picture. And, of course, our URL, harvardhatesjews.com, and it played that Game of Thrones theme for 8 hours. And you say that people have forgotten about her. I say you're wrong this one time, because yesterday alone, 5,603 people used our action alert at harvardhatesjews.com to send one message that goes to all of the trustees at that university. So their inboxes yesterday were rather messy.
Oh, excellent.
This is exactly the kind of tactics that are needed, Adam. And I'm grateful that you, Accuracy at Media, you guys are not afraid to get in their faces. I think that's what a member of Congress told some folks to do. Yes. Get in their faces, rile them up. But I think to an important end, which is to see some change. Do you see what's the kind of the next step after we see these these petitions and so on? Do you think it's actually going to move the leadership? And then how do we get change, not just beyond the leadership and the heads of the universities, but down the line where the same kinds of ideas and administrators who are too weak to and cowering to students, how can we ensure we weed those kinds of folks out of academia?
Well, we're never afraid to get in their faces because their faces are usually masked. I always ask them, if you're so proud of what you're doing, how come you put on a mask? You remind me of the KKK, you hateful mask. You know what? Well, here's what's going to happen. Hopefully one or two or all three of these ridiculous university presidents loses their job. That would be swell to see. And I think that would send a massive signal to all of the other university presidents that they better get the act together on their campus or they're going to have the same fate. And I think they'll initially try to pretend, well, we don't have that problem here at Berkeley. We don't have that problem here at Northwestern. But we're continuing our campaign at each and every one of these universities to highlight each and every problem that exists. And once there's accountability for one president, I think that'll force there to be accountability for all of them. And then, as you know, we're also about finding accountability for the students. Now that these students are going home on Christmas break, I think it's a wonderful time for the mobile billboards to arrive at mom and dad's house with the shame soundbite, with a summary of what their child did, and so that mom and dad have to explain to their neighbors over Christmas why their kid doesn't like the Jews.
It's a great point, and it's because that's the concern. You get rid of President McGill, you get rid of President Gay at Harvard. They're just going to replace him with another version. Same thing, different color, different flavor, different brand, but it's all the same thing. What needs to happen for the institutional change here, Adam?
I think these institutions are rotten to their core. They really are. You're not going to be able to change exactly, the goals that they're going for in that regard. And you're exactly right. You replace one, but you bring in somebody identical. But you bring in somebody identical who, even though they don't care about free speech really, even though they certainly don't care about combating anti-Semitism, they do care about their employment. So at least in the short term, they'll be forced to get their act together. But again, even if they never hold these students accountable, we will, and that's the important thing. And also in the short term, let's remember that with some of the best, most bright-minded donors and best trustees resigning from these universities, in the short term, things may get worse because the good influences are going to be gone. But that's why we come in to provide an outside influence.
Well, and quickly, I'm thinking big picture, too. Some of these kids are coming to campuses already indoctrinated at the K through 12 level. So they're already virulently rabid with anti-Semitism, with, the BLM critical race theory stuff ingrained in their minds. What can we be doing at that K through 12 level?
Such a great point. You're exactly correct. All of this comes from K through 12 DEI initiatives. The only solution to that is universal school choice, like what was enacted in Florida and Arizona and Ohio and Iowa this year. Banning this stuff doesn't work. As you guys know, I've been undercover in over 250 school districts across the country in the past year or two, exposing that sort of thing. Excellent. Banning it doesn't resolve it at all. The only solution is school choice. Hopefully, somehow they'll get it in your state of Virginia soon enough, or your nearby state.
Adam, how can people help your efforts as you do this? Because this doesn't come cheap and it doesn't happen by itself. How can people, if they like what you're doing, Adam, with Accuracy Media and calling these hypocrites out, how can they help you do it?
Sure. Our website is aim.org, AIM.org. You can, of course, make a tax-deductible contribution there, but you can also find the links to all of our action alerts, like HarvardHatesJews.com and MITHatesJews.com and ColumbiaHatesJews.com and so forth.
Very good.
Have you gobbled up all of the URLs out there for pretty much every college in America?
Not just every college. I own all the students' URLs. I literally own hundreds and hundreds of domains now, which is something I never would have imagined. Wow. Domains like AmariButler.com, where you can see a profile on how Amari Butler not a big fan of the Jews.
Wow. Brilliant.
And that ain't cheap. So that's aim.org is how you can support Adam's efforts. And you should, because they're actually working. Adam Guillette, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Adam.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Joining us now, Patrice Onwuka, is our pal Melissa Robey. She does such great work supporting our cops. Her organization is We Back Blue, and they have a great event tomorrow We're going to fill a police cruiser, aren't we? Full of toys for Tots. Tell us all about it. Where can people go? What do people do? Come on, Melissa. Tell us everything.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
Hi. So we're so excited. So, yeah, we are going to be stepping a cruiser tomorrow at Chantilly Target with the Virginia State Police and other agencies, and we're really, really excited to do this because Toys for Tots is down about 50% of where they should be with toys right now. So
Oh, really?
we're excited. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. All right, so it's the Chantilly Target. This is in Chantilly at Chantilly Crossing Lane. Anyone in the region knows which Target we're talking about. So when people are out doing their Christmas shopping, they should just pick up one. What are the rules here in terms of what kind of toy can be donated?
So you're going to donate an unwrapped brand new toy.
Okay,
So
don't wrap it.
Also, I want to mention that we have Santa Claus coming. So you can do pictures with Santa. You can bring your pets. We have the Grinch coming.
Okay.
We
Ooh.
have little minions. It's a whole situation over there.
Awesome. So they'll be able so families can bring their kids, pose with Santa, troopers, police cruisers, everything, and bring a toy for a good cause as well, right?
And great toy. Wawa from Fairfax is graciously going to bring us hot chocolate and coffee and snacks. And so we're getting a great feedback from the community. People are chipping in to just be there, help us out. Marco's Pizza's bringing pizza for all the officers. So it's going to be a great community. Mm-hmm.
Tell us why you got into doing this cause. I mean, I know that it's important for us to help those kids who don't have parents who can give them a good Christmas. But talk about the connection between this charity and what you guys do.
Sure. So I think it's important to bridge the gap between communities and law enforcement, and this is an incredible way to do that. I think oftentimes law enforcement doesn't get the accolades that they deserve for doing stuff like this in their community. There's community holiday events all over Northern Virginia where police officers are taking upon themselves to wrap presents and bring presents to underprivileged kids. And I think that there's a lack of people highlighting that because they just really are incredible public servants. And so my organization is out there just making sure that they are, recognized for the incredible work they do, but also bridging that gap between the community, letting little kids have the opportunity to go and look at cruisers and meet troopers and just have those interactions. I think they're so incredibly important.
Well, Melissa, I love all the work that you do for our cops, all the stuff that we know about, and people, all the stuff that never gets attention. Right. I know you tirelessly support our men and women in uniform. Don't you laugh at me. You know it. It's true. So God bless you. God bless your efforts. It's the Target in Chantilly. Bring an unwrapped toy. Help out some kids, which will also help out our cops because it helps tell the truth about how great they are and how much they care about our community, just like Melissa Robey does. Thank you, Melissa.